Hey Jake, how's it going?
I'm gonna scooch a little bit closer now, boys.
We're not deleting this, we're keeping this.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, welcome to the third episode of the Double Feature Podcast. I'm here with Jake.
Howdy.
I thought you were just gonna wave hi for a second. I was about to be really disappointed.
God.
Jacob, you wave hi on a podcast. For the viewers at home, he is waving right now. This episode we watched Chef and Ratatouille.
Yes, we did.
This was a recommendation from Jake. Jake, why did you recommend Chef and Ratatouille?
I like both Chef and Ratatouille. They're both cooking movies, and I like to cook, so it's pretty cool.
Is that the only similarity? There was no other like.
Oh, and it was just like a theme that pretty much anyone can cook, and not like anyone can cook, but anyone can do. There's a theming anyone can do anything.
Oh, you think it's
if you put your
they're both
brain towards it.
Believe in yourself stories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that. I feel like it's a little bit less so in Chef, but I just
watched
Chef.
the guy, he loses his job and he goes and starts cooking, and he believes in himself and he starts cooking. He starts getting bigger and he gets a massive following. And so I think it was a believe in yourself story.
Okay.
Because before, when he's not believing in himself, then he's not going very well.
So now we're gonna start our first segment, which is we're just gonna summarize the two movies. So I guess we'll start with summarizing Ratatouille.
Okay.
I guess we should keep it brief, but maybe viewers haven't watched Ratatouille.
If you haven't watched Ratatouille, come on, man. It's 20 years old at this point?
So Ratatouille is arguably the best Pixar movie. Is it even argued?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of argument which is the best Pixar movie. It's my favorite Pixar movie.
I feel like there are three that get tossed around a lot: Toy Story, Incredibles, and then Ratatouille.
Oh, definitely.
And I think the other ones are they're good or bad.
I think Cars is also really good.
You think Cars is really good?
I think Cars is definitely at least top 4.
We might have to save that for the Cars episode.
I really like Cars.
That's crazy. I don't know. Cars is not fresh in my memory, but the popular opinion for Cars is to hate on it. It's to absolutely hate on Cars.
The only reason people hate on Cars is because of Cars 2. They kind of ruined the franchise.
Yeah. It's also a ridiculous premise. But speaking of ridiculous premises...
Cars copied another movie. It can't be that ridiculous.
Wait, what did Cars copy?
It's a movie with Michael J. Fox. I don't remember.
There's
tits in the beginning of it, though. I remember that part.
Okay. So Ratatouille stars Patton Oswalt, who is playing Remy, who is a rat. Do you know that?
I didn't know he was a rat.
Yeah, and he wants to cook. Did you know that part? Okay, well, so they kind of go to Paris, and then he controls this guy with his hands and uses the hair to control him. And then he makes these foods, and then he has to hide from the chefs, and then eventually the secret gets let out, and there's a critic.
Ego. I don't remember what his. I don't remember his last name.
Ego bad guy or something.
Yeah, but his nickname is the Grim Eater.
Yeah, the Grim Eater. That's my superhero name.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm copywriting it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say my thoughts on Ratatouille, and then you can say your thoughts on Ratatouille.
Okay.
I think that Ratatouille is great. I don't think it's my favorite Pixar movie. I think Toy Story is my favorite Pixar movie, but I think that Ratatouille is really good. Obviously, the 3-act structure is pretty obvious. I didn't like the falling out just because it's in every Pixar movie. Or in most of them. I did like all the montages and the sequences. The animation is really creative in Ratatouille. There were a lot of things that the animators could have done to just make it easier for them. But the way that Remy controls What's the guy's name?
Linguini.
Linguini, yeah. The way that Remy controls Linguini and how, like, Linguini's, like slouched back and, like, crazy, and then his hands are just flying around. Like, even in, like, the scenes where Linguini is doing everything really well, Remy still has, like, this weird control, and there's still a lot of flailing around, and I feel like that's really funny. Also, the first sequence where Remy starts cooking and they do the little spin around the pot, that was cool. I shouted that out when we watched it. There's a little spin around the pot, and then it stops on Linguini looking at Remy going,
And the music's going around and it's nice and flowing as they throw ingredients in, and then it just abruptly stops. And so I think it works really well.
It was a funny moment.
It was a funny moment.
And then I feel like the whole movie, that's what I like about Pixar, is they don't really take themselves seriously. They just, they take ridiculous premises and then they treat them like ridiculous premises.
Yeah, like a bunch of rats in a kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
To summarize Chef, there is a chef that is working in a restaurant, and a critic comes in, and the critic disses on his food. Some words are exchanged on social media. The critic comes back, and Jon Favreau's character, what was his name?
I will look it up.
Okay, just Jon Favreau's character argues with the owner of the restaurant. Jon Favreau's character leaves. The critic comes, doesn't like the food again, and Jon Favreau comes in, trashes the food,
Carl Casper.
Carl Casper, yes. Carl comes in, tells the critic that this is molten, and the molten lava cake's molten, and that the critic knows nothing, and there's a argument, and it's all on social media. Carl gets fired.
He gets a food truck.
Yeah, Carl then gets a food truck. Robert Downey Jr.'s character is in there somewhere.
Okay. That we're gonna stop talking about the plot. That's basically the end. Is he gets a food truck and he has fun and he connects with his kid. Okay, now we're gonna start. Okay, Robert Downey Jr. Why was he in this movie? He sells him the food truck and then talks about having a child.
Okay, so this movie came out before This movie came out around Iron Man. So Robert Downey Jr. is a big enough name that people are like, oh yeah, he was an Iron Man. But people don't actually know his name when this movie came out.
Yeah, there's.
What year did this movie come out?
That's a good question. I did look up this movie. 2014.
2014.
That's 6 years after Iron Man.
And 2 years after Avengers. Okay, so they knew his name and they could recognize him, but he wasn't like.
They're like, oh, why is Iron Man in a Cook movie?
Yeah, pretty much. And Robert Downey Jr.'s good friends with Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau directed the first Iron Man movie.
Yeah. Also, Robert Downey Jr. carried the first Iron Man movie. Okay, I'm gonna talk about how I feel about Jon Favreau, even though this opinion is completely unjustified. Jake's looking at me like he's gonna kill me. By the way, he's putting his hand around my neck. Okay, I don't like Jon Favreau that much. And part of the reason is because he directed The Lion King, but also the new Lion King, but also, I don't know. I've seen a couple of his movies now, and the first Iron Man is okay.
The first Iron Man movie is one of the best MCU movies, and you know it.
Okay. But the third act, with the robot, the evil robot. You're just looking at me and you're shaking your head.
I'm shaking my head and looking at you very disappointedly.
Okay. You know what? It's been a while. We're going to say that a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I was young. That's a big problem with being 15, which I am currently 15.
Imagine being 15, honestly. 16's where it's at, guys.
All the movies I've seen, I've either seen really recently or I've seen when I was too young. Because I just now am hypercritical of movies and a bitch when it comes to watching movies. But
you are a bitch when it comes to watching movies. You set yourself up for that one.
No. When I was a kid, I kept watching movies, and I would try to make.
Were you a bitch about them then too?
I was a bitch about it. I was always a bitch about movies. Bro, I'd walk out of Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, and I'd be like, "This is trash. This is the least common denominator cinema experience." And I was like 5. It's great.
God, you were probably the worst. You would probably went to kids on the playground. They're talking about, "Oh my God, did you see this movie? It looks so cool." And you're probably like, "That's trash."
Well, I was a Star Wars fan, so I really had no place to.
Oh yeah, true.
I was like, Star Wars.
Star Wars isn't that good, so.
We'll get to that next episode. We'll get to it next episode.
George Lucas was crazy, and you know it.
Oh my God. Okay, we were talking about Jon Favreau.
You see, now you know how it feels, huh?
Oh my God.
Jon Favreau is a better Star Wars director than he is.
The mic is peaking, Jake. The mic is peaking.
Because the mic knows it's true as well.
So, about Chef and about Jon Favreau, you know, I this is gonna be maybe the first argument on this podcast. I don't know. We haven't recorded the first episode yet. Whoops. And you said that this is one of your like favorite movies.
It is one of my favorite movies.
I didn't like it that much. Now it's not bad. Okay, it's not bad. It's really not bad. But like, it's not good. The first half is trash, and then the second half is pretty good.
I like the first half.
Okay. So I'll be more specific. Okay, so the first thing that I didn't like about this movie was Jon Favreau's character at the beginning. And I understand that a lot of movies make a point to have a unlikable lead at the start. Like Groundhog Day did that too, where at the start you just hate him and you love to hate him. But I do love to hate Jon Favreau. I don't love to hate Carl Casper? Yeah, Carl Casper. I don't love to hate Carl Casper, but I also hate to love him.
Damn.
So I'm sitting through the movie and for the first half, Carl Casper is just kind of like this guy who is a dick to his kid and then doesn't really understand his kid. Like they show the shot of him on the roller coaster with his phone out, and then he has like an ex-wife, and we go through all of those scenes, and then he like flips out at this critic, and I can't feel bad for the guy, you know? I didn't feel bad for the guy.
I did feel bad for the guy.
Oh, maybe that was just me. So now I'll talk about my second problem with this movie. I didn't like how social media was portrayed, except for in the second half. Okay, so in the second half when they give it to the kid and they're like, "Oh, cool, it's a kid," and he's like, "Yeah, Vine's cool." Like that's.
This is also 2014 when Vine was cool.
Yeah, okay, that's like I didn't have any problems with that because it's like, oh yeah, it's a little kid and he's doing something with his father. Like that's cute, and it's feel good. Mm-hmm. And like a cooking movie about being on the road is supposed to be feel good, so it did it really well there. But then the beginning with Twitter, I don't know. It wasn't funny how bad Carl was.
But like, so like at this point in 2014, Twitter wasn't like, it was really popular, but like not everyone was on it.
Yeah.
And so like I get like where he was coming from, because you gotta think about like in this time frame of the movie when it came out.
It's pre-election.
Not now.
Yeah.
And so like there's all this stuff that comes out on Twitter now that everyone has Twitter. Mm-hmm. But like back then I don't feel like everyone had Twitter. Well,
that's not necessarily the problem about.
Yeah, so I feel like that like he didn't know how to use it. I don't think it. Well, I don't think it wasn't like. I thought it was kind of funny.
I guess the fact that he didn't know how to use it was whatever. I don't know. It was aggravating for me. I wish I could express it a little bit better. It was a little aggravating for me watching someone ruin his life like that, and also.
Because I feel like you totally can't. Like, all this stuff about, like, James Gunn came out, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. He sent out tweets years ago, and that still ruined his career. So I feel like if you dissed, like, a critic or something like that, I feel like that could totally ruin your career like that.
Yeah. Well, so Carl Casper is a chef, right? And he has clout in the chef world. And he's set up as this older man, really. Like, he had done stuff in his past, and now he's kind of lost a little bit of it, and he needs to go and reinvent himself. Mm-hmm. So when I see an older man, I think, okay, they're wise, and this kid's not wise, and I know that's like, okay, character flaws are cool and they drive a story forward, but it's also frustrating when you have a character who does something like as crazy as fuel a fire. I don't know. I think that it's almost like a cheap character move.
I don't feel that at all, but okay.
Okay. Well, that's how I feel. I'm just trying to say how I feel about social media. So now, as if I hadn't talked enough, I'm going to talk about the final thing that separates this movie for me and you, which is I'm not a chef. And
like,
I don't understand the culinary arts. I talk all this mad trash about movies and how subtle and perfect they can be, or how absolute trash they can be. And I know that similar things apply to the world of food, but I don't know how, and
like,
I don't care.
I don't feel like you need to know how to cook to understand, like, how a grill works.
That's true. It's just, I do need to understand how to cook to be tapped into chef.
What did you not understand with the cooking?
I understood almost all of it. And if I didn't understand it, it wasn't something that would ruin my experience for not knowing. It was just a lack of passion, right? So for Ratatouille is more focused on the character and the scenario and the comedy than it was about the cooking. And I feel like Chef was more focused on the cooking, and I guess I was just a little tapped out in terms of like, oh, cool, now they're doing a barbecue thing in Austin. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like watching a Star Wars prequel with all the fan service without caring about Star Wars. It's like, oh, yeah, that guy looks like this guy I don't care about.
Okay. I understand your point.
So something that Ratatouille does well that Chef didn't do is it made the world of cooking more accessible, and that's mostly because it's a kids movie, but also I think that it helped a lot for me, having, like, they had one scene where Remy's like looking in and he's like, oh, there's the chef, there's the sous chef, there's the saucier, and then he's like saying there's their jobs and they're all really important except for that garbage guy, he sucks. And I kind of needed that, whereas Chef just kind of like throws you into the fire and it's just like, yeah, they're cooking.
It explains what the sous chef is in Chef.
Yeah, I don't
like,
know.
it explains the rules like that. When Carl's talking to his kid, he explains like, oh, the sous chef does this and the chef does this and this is a chef's knife and all that kind of stuff.
You're right.
And so I feel like it did do that.
You're right. And I liked the scene where Carl was showing Percy, I think is the kid's name.
Yeah, Percy.
He was showing Percy like how to make the sandwich, and like how to butter it up and like how to put it in the thing. And that's one thing. I don't know how to make that particular sandwich. I don't even know what it's called.
A Cuban's amazing. It's my favorite sandwich.
But that little, not only did that work as like a bit of exposition so that I have a grounding to put my feet on, but that also connected the characters. And that's something that is smart that Chef did.
Yeah.
But that all kind of gets redacted with the first part of Chef, in my eyes. Anyways, what did you like about Chef?
I don't know. I enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Good movie. 10 out of 10. I shouldn't lean back in my chair because that affects the audio.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Whoops.
Just increase the audio on Audacity.
Editing. Anyways, so I'm going to talk about one more thing with Chef. And it's the ending. Okay? So I like how you're turning yourself to look at me. That really kind of like, it makes me feel better about what I'm about to say. Okay. Anyways, the ending of Chef. So we have like 3 scenes in a row, right? So we got the guy telling the kid, maybe it's 4 or 5, whatever. We got the guy telling the kid, you can't work for me. Then we got the guy going home and looking at the video, and then we have a cut to 6 months later.
I don't feel like it was that soon. Because there was also, after the video, there was the scene where they're in LA and they're all working together, and it shows that, like, yeah, they can work together. And then the critic comes up, and then...
Yeah, that's the scene I forgot. So then there's that scene, and then there's the smash cut.
Yeah.
To 6 months. And I didn't mind the smash cut at first. I was like, oh, cool, we get to see the restaurant and the success. And that's cool. But then they concluded Carl's arc in what seems like a very forced and annoying thing. They had him remarry the ex-wife. That was not built up.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
At all. What the hell?
Yeah. I agree with you. I feel like they didn't need that 6 months jump for the wedding. Like, if they wanted to show the restaurant, that part I get.
Yeah, I like the restaurant, and I feel like it would have been cool if it was like, hey, cool, look at the restaurant. I would have even been a little bit more fine with it if he was proposing at the restaurant, or if they showed him with his ex-wife and with the kid, and they're all smiling and eating or serving. Yeah. Because then that still concludes this arc that says, hey, he's not an asshole, and he's close to his family again, without...
Jumping straight to marriage.
Having them marry in 6 months, even though they had, 4 scenes together.
Yeah.
And
one accidental I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cute, actually.
That was kind of cute. But still, it's still accidental. And
yeah. Well, that was a little cute, but one suggestion at them getting back together does not constitute them marrying at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because they didn't have any other romantic scenes.
If they would have either built it up more or... And I agree with you. Yeah.
Cut out the beginning. Cut out most of the beginning. There's some filler in there that you could probably take out. I don't even care about Tony. Get rid of Tony.
But I like Tony.
I like Tony, but I don't like the beginning. So if you cut a little bit of that out, and then you sprinkle it in a little bit more, either just anything that has to do with their relationship, ex-husband and ex-wife, then you can keep your ending, and then your ending can be happy and marketable and everything. We are 22 minutes in, 23.
Okay.
So
you probably shouldn't have said that because you're going to edit it and it's going to be different times and it's going to sound kind of weird. So we talked a lot about Chef. What are some flaws you think Ratatouille has?
Oh no. Okay. I really got to think about this actually. So Ratatouille, I liked Ratatouille more than Chef. I think that's...
Oh yeah, Ratatouille's my favorite animated movie.
Really?
It's been for a long time, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to burden myself with finding better animated movies to force you to watch.
Okay. Name one. Do you think is better?
Spider-Verse? Does that...
Spider-Verse counts. I don't know. I like Ratatouille more than I like Spider-Verse.
Okay, well, I'll look for some deep cuts. There's some deep cuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you watch anime, don't worry.
Thank God. That's where I thought we were going next. I know there's some, really good, Japanese movies, but,
There are, but I know. The themes that they cover are a little cringe.
Yeah.
Sometimes. There's stuff out there that I have yet to see. Oh, you haven't seen, Wallace and Gromit. I don't know.
I haven't.
I don't know if you'd like that more than Ratatouille.
Is that animated or stop motion, though?
It's stop motion animation. That's what it's called.
Touche.
Okay, anyways, you want me to come up with flaws with Ratatouille?
Yeah. What do you got? I assume you have less. Sorry.
So
I assume you have less because it's a better movie.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing would be maybe let's start with the third act, the falling out.
Okay.
So it's not really a flaw with Ratatouille as it is just a cliche. You need an emotional low for Remy, and you need something bad to happen, and so you have Linguini throw him out and say, "I don't need you anymore. You're stupid," and then all the kids cry, and then it's happy when they come back.
Hey, don't make fun of me just because I cried in that scene.
Did you really? No. That's crazy.
No, I didn't.
I'm like, I was about to say, even when I was a kid, I was dreaming about some other thing probably when I was watching it as a kid. Anyways, it kind of deducts from the rest of the movie. It's like, the movie was so good, except for the third act. And that's just, that's really bitchy for me because a lot of movies do it, and a lot of movies that I like do it. Ratatouille I really like. and it just happens to do it, and the rest of the crowd ruins it for Ratatouille, because in a movie like Ratatouille it kind of works. Anyways, the theme of Ratatouille is, and this isn't a problem with the movie, it's more of a problem with the premise, which it's just the theme is obviously going to be like follow your heart and anyone can do it.
I think it was the more believe in yourself, like you can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, just like and use the vessel of cooking as the anything.
Yeah, it was a lot of like
show that a rat can cook.
Mhm. Like you can do it. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. Mhm. I don't know.
Never mind. Judge other people about it.
I guess I don't really have a problem with
Here's my problem. Remy is very judgy in the movie.
Is Remy judgy?
Remy is very judgy.
What's he do?
He immediately calls him like, that's a trash boy, he can't do anything. Like, you're a rat, dude. What's your problem? At least he has fingers.
This is a very important problem that we need to express with Ratatouille.
Remy doesn't have fingers.
Oh, I tell you what I don't like in Ratatouille.
What?
Well, if it's a Pixar movie, I expect it to be 1 hour and 30 minutes, and this one was 2 hours. I feel like they could have cut 15 minutes out.
Where? Where?
So you have your first act, establishes the characters, blah blah blah. Then you have your moment where he finally starts cooking, and then he cooks that one really good piece, and then he improvises and cooks that second really good piece. And then after that, there's some downtime, where they spend a lot more time with the short guy on his tail, and they spend a lot more time with the love dynamic.
But I think both those worked really well for the movie.
They did, but it's a Pixar movie, and I'm impatient.
Stop being impatient, Garrett.
Okay, fine. You told me to find flaws in Ratatouille, and I'm really grasping at straws.
Okay.
If I were to pick something,
think there was a little flaw. So there's not very many flaws in Ratatouille, you think?
I don't think there's very many flaws in Ratatouille.
Like, it's one of the best animated movies, just what you're saying.
The animation's a little dated, and you can feel it.
I don't think it was that dated.
It's not that dated, but you can...
I feel like Toy Story feels more dated than that.
Oh, yeah, Toy Story feels a lot more dated.
Yeah.
The reason I say Toy Story is my favorite animated movie... Or not, it's not my favorite animated movie, sorry. It's my favorite Pixar movie. The reason I say that is because of the YouTube poops. And because of the memes. And because of Tom Hanks. I'm not even...
You aren't a toy!
What? You did it wrong.
Whoops. I was trying to see if you catch.
Toy Story's my favorite. You just pushed me off my chair.
I didn't do that.
Okay.
Are you trying to make a peek?
Ow.
Yeah.
That resonated. We're cutting that out.
No, we're not. We're keeping all of that.
Oh, let's talk about Ego.
Ego?
Probably the best Disney villain.
Ego Montoya?
Is he one of the best Disney villains?
You killed my father. Prepare to die. Ego Montoya, Princess Bride.
It's Inigo Montoya.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Whoops. Whoops.
Jake, movies are my thing. I need to defend my thing.
Yeah, that's why you don't start a land war in Asia.
What?
That's why you don't start a land war in Asia.
Oh, yes.
That's another quote from Princess Bride.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, Mr. Movies are my thing.
All right, I'm retiring. I haven't uploaded a single video yet, and I'm still retiring. Congratulations, sir.
I will be the new host on this podcast. So, welcome back to the podcast, guys. So we're going to be talking about my favorite movie of all time. Doing this podcast without Garrett. It's a documentary I've been working on for the last couple of seconds now, and it's about how I was in the shadow of Garrett this whole time, and I've risen up from the shadows and overthrown my quote-unquote oppressor. I am proud to introduce this. This will be coming to the channel very soon, because it's my channel now. Thank you, guys. Oh, well, look at that. Garrett's back.
Oh. You were just waiting for me to come back and interrupt you so that you wouldn't have to continue that?
No, I could have done this all day.
Oh.
I could have talked about the premise, about how I was shackled, chained down to this podcast. And now that he's gone, I can break free and
Well, I'm gonna go head out.
Okay, see you later, man.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, so what do you want to say about Ego?
Oh, about Ego? I wanted to spark a discussion about Pixar villains. Or about... Let's be a little bit more on topic, and let's talk about Ego, the critic, versus the critic in Chef.
Okay. So, I feel Ego is very dramatized.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
Wasn't his, like, typing room shaped like a coffin?
It was a coffin. His office was a coffin.
Yeah. I said typing room, didn't I?
You did say typing room.
Whoops.
I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, an office is just a typing room.
The hit American and European UK sitcom.
Typing
room.
Oh, God.
Okay. So, yeah, Ego's very dramatized. He's kind of crazy.
Just a little.
His character design is great.
Also, yes. Second best character design in the movie.
First being...
Remy. I think Remy looks amazing.
I'm saying first is Swole Rat.
Oh, Swole Rat all day, boys.
Swole Rat.
If you don't know who Swole Rat is, which I didn't, did you?
No.
Okay, so there's this rat that's really big. Like, he's obviously big. Like,
dummy thing.
Yes. And
that's fat
it's
shaming.
hilarious. He's not like fat. Like, the brother's fat.
Emil?
Emil.
Yeah.
Emil is fat. No, he's swole.
This is what we started this podcast to talk about.
Honest to God.
Speaking of fat, let's talk about the critic from Chef.
Damn. Damn.
Okay, but they wrote in a line about him calling John Favreau fat, about calling Carl fat. They were like,
yeah.
Maybe he's fat because the orders go back into the kitchen.
He gobbles them up.
I don't know. I like the critic a little bit.
I like the critic in Chef.
In Chef, yeah. I think in the broad scope of them mishandling the use of social media, the critic was probably the most realistic, where it's just some guy who writes very aggravated responses to stuff, gives everything a negative review, and then just doesn't care at all. Like when Carl goes in and rants to him and has this little moment, he's just sitting there like with a completely straight face, like, I love this. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
So I think that he was good. He's not as good as Ego. So,
yeah.
Ego.
Because I thought it showed a lot of the movie on how... I think it showed like themes on Ego that were expressed in the movie.
What?
I'm just trying to make big words sound cool. I really don't know. This whole film making fun of thing really isn't easy.
Oh, okay.
I can't.
So can I have my channel back?
Yeah, you can have your channel back.
Great. I'm glad that's solved.
The password is password 123.
Shit.
You're gonna have to change that
I'm
after
gonna
you get
change it to password 321, and no one will ever know. Wait. I'm not good at this YouTube thing. Anyways, we've been trying to talk about food critics for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is
start talking, boy.
Okay, so the reason Ego is better than the other guy is because Ego had a change of heart. No, they both had changes of heart. They're the same person. Did Chef rip off Ratatouille?
Definitely.
I think the thing that puts Ego above the other film critic is Ego was set up as this villain, this big final boss for the whole movie. Like, even in like the first establishing thing where it talks about the restaurant, Ego's there. And I think so Ego's presence throughout the entire movie and then kind of his hype to the climax makes the climax a lot better than, like I said, with Chef. There's a change of heart, but they just kind of tripped over the finish line. But with Ratatouille, there's a lot more, I guess, suspense. It's not really suspense, it's more build-up. towards this final scene where all the rats are in the kitchen and it's crazy, and then I think it's cute that Ego's like, oh yes, rats, I respect this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Ego is interesting, is more interesting because they set him up to have principles and like standards, and also there's a monologue in Ratatouille from Ego that's really good,
mm-hmm.
where they read his review.
Yes.
Like, I didn't notice how good it was, and I like to pretend to know how to write reviews, but that whoever wrote that put me in my place. It was like pretty damn good. Probably the best writing in Ratatouille. Was that monologue, and I don't know, I thought it was neat, and it really, again, it made Ego's character more interesting.
Like, that is good, but we all know the best writing in Ratatouille. Why do they call it Ratatouille? It sounds like rat and patootie.
And on that note, we're ending the podcast.
Okay, see y'all later, guys. Remember, subscribe to Checkers X Gaming.
Am I ending the podcast?
I don't know, are you? I'm still going to say subscribe to Checkers X Gaming. I don't know why I keep saying subscribe to Checkers X Gaming. That's so strange why I keep saying subscribe to Checkers X Gaming.
Yeah, I guess I'll end the podcast.
Remember, Jakers X Gaming. Link down below.
I'm not going to link it now.
I know your password, so it's fine.
Oh, you know what we have to do?
What? I think we need to give a star rating to each movie.
We need to recommend the next movies.
Oh, whoops.
We'll do a star rating first.
Okay. So you say yours.
We'll say at the same time.
Okay.
Ratatouille on 3. 1, 2. Wait, out of 10 or out of 5?
5.
Oh, thanks.
And you can do 0.5s.
Okay, we are.
So it's essentially 10.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
5.
4.5. Chef. 1.
Oh, so if y'all didn't hear it, I said 5. He said 4.5.
Oh.
For Ratatouille.
Yeah, this is probably a stupid idea.
But we should say it again and then we can say it afterwards because I don't want yours to change mine or anything or mine to change yours.
Oh, yeah. I know I'm smart.
Okay.
Chef. 1, 2, 3, 2.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, 2.5 is dead
I said
average.
4. He said 2. 2.5. 2.5 dead.
2.5 is 5, so I think it's...
I really enjoyed the movie. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
I think I'll give it 2. But
Okay.
I guess if I rewatched it and I noticed more nuances, then maybe like 3.
Damn.
I don't know. Okay.
Damn.
Now
Jon Favreau, come after him and tell him that it's ganache in the middle of it and that it is lava and you know nothing.
Yes, Jon Favreau. It was egregious, and maybe you're fat because of the movies that you make. So
maybe you're fat because of all the lions you eat. I said it.
Next week we have to watch. Are we doing it weekly or bi-weekly? I don't know.
At some point in the future.
At some point in the future, we're gonna upload another episode of this podcast where we watch our first non-double feature.
Whoa. Dun, dun, dun. I really hope you edit that out and add the actual one, because that'd be so much cooler.
Okay. We're watching our first non-double feature. We are watching Star Wars, but not your typical Star Wars. Take it away.
Okay, so we'll be watching Star Wars. So we're gonna there's always the argument: how do you watch Star Wars? Do you start 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, or do you watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? And so I've been reading online. I was talking to Garrett about this, and so how we're gonna watch it is watch 4, 5, then 2, 3, and then 6. And so we start with 4 and 5 because they introduce you to your main characters that when it originally came out in the 70s, and then you learn, spoiler alert, that Vader is Luke's father. And so then you get a flashback to 2 and 3. You get a flashback to 2 and 3 and you learn about Vader's life and growing up as Anakin, and being in the Jedi as Anakin.
The fall of Skywalker.
The fall of Skywalker. And then you watch 6. And then any movie we didn't mention, we knew why. Because they're bad.
We'll talk about that.
No.
We will talk about it, and I guess that'll be a little bit more uninformed.
7.
Well, are
8,
you seeing
9,
number 9?
1. No.
Because I will have seen number 9 by the time we record it.
Dang, I'm not going to see that. I'm waiting till 9's on Disney Plus.
Well, I just won't spoil it then.
Okay. Or spoil it. I really don't care.
Okay, we'll try not to talk about 9 next episode if people are weary about it.
If it's good, don't spoil it. If it's bad, then. Which I assume it will be because it's Star Wars.
Yeah, we'll say at the end, at the beginning of next episode.
Okay.
I guess. But I will be forcing you to talk about 1 and 7 and 8. But I don't think either of us need to rewatch any of those.
I kind of want to watch 1. I think we should watch 1 at the beginning and then watch 4 or 5.
Please, no.
Please, yes. No, I'm joking. We're not going to do that.
That's 2 extra hours on a Star Wars marathon that I don't need. Thank you guys for watching, and do go check out Jakers X Gaming. We'll see you guys next time when we suffer through... How many hours is that? 5 Star Wars? It's like 10 hours.
Yep.
It's 10 hours of space Nazis.